What's up YouTube, this is Dragon, and these are the top 10 reasons why people play Pokemon. At this point, unless you've been living under an onix, everyone should be aware of the amazing world of Pokemon. The Pokemon series is spectacular and filled with adventure, suspense, and things that make you question life. As I go through the top 10 reasons why people play Pokemon, I'm sure at least one, if not all, of the things I'll mention will be relatable to you in some way. Well, without further ado, let's get to the top 10 reasons why people play Pokemon. Number 10. Pikachu. When you think of Pokemon, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For longtime fans, it may be a Pokemon like Charizard. For me, it's Dragonite, as this Pokemon holds a special place in my heart. But go out and ask your average person, who's a Pokemon you know? And I can guarantee you most of them will say Pikachu. Pikachu is the Hello Kitty of the Pokemon franchise and is known by practically everyone everywhere. And what makes this Pokemon uniquely special is how well and easily it can play multiple roles. It can be cute, it can be rough, it can be tough, and anything in between. If anything will attract people to play Pokemon, it'll definitely be this Pokemon. But Pikachu does more than just get people to want to play the game. It also gets people to do this next thing that makes people want to play the game even more. Which leads us to number 9. Pokemon the Animated Series. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my father's office between 6 and 8 a.m. in the morning and I saw this weirdly interesting cartoon. I think it came on after Sailor Moon, I'm not sure, but from that point on, I was hooked. Now, I distinctly remember watching the show before I played any of the games, so I know for a fact that it was a direct contributing factor for me playing the games. Pokemon was first debuted in the United States on September 8, 1998, and the following games, Pokemon Red and Blue, were released 20 days after in North America on September 28, 1998. You know, when you think about it, Pokemon is about to be 20 years old. The very first Pokemon item released was in Japan and called Pocket Monsters, versions Red and Green, and was released on February 27, 1996. Yes, the game was actually released before the show's debut in Japan during April 1st, 1997. People living in English-speaking areas were actually pretty late to the game and the show, especially Europe, getting the first games as late as October 5th, 1999. Nonetheless, the animated series is a major influential factor that compels many to this day to play even the latest of the Pokemon games. Number 8. The feeling of adventure. As you watch Ash travel the world on his quest to be the very best, like no one ever was, you can't help but to think to yourself, man, I wish I could do what Ash is doing. Well, your wish has been granted, and you can now explore the world of Pokemon on your terms. As you play the game, you can't help but to feel constantly drawn into this unique world that literally feels like you're traversing within another dimension. Anyone else remember going through Mount Moon for the first time? I seriously felt like I was hiking inside of a cave, exploring the different floors and battling different trainers on my way to Cerulean City. I even encountered Team Rocket and felt just like Ash as he was fighting against the evil syndicate bent on using Pokemon for their own evil purposes. I felt personally invested and wanted to put an end to their evil organization. As I ventured on my quest to get all 8 badges, I finally put an end to their group by defeating their leader Giovanni and getting my 8th badge, and then later afterwards becoming the Pokemon League champion. The beauty of Pokemon is that everyone's most fulfilling experience is completely unique to their own perspective, which leads us to number 7. Catching all the Pokemon that exist. Fast forward to now, and there are 721 Pokemon in the Pokemon world. That, my friends, is one of the most amazing and unique things about Pokemon, and catching them all is not easy. Unlike regular Pokemon in the wild, some Pokemon can only be obtained through events, doing certain things in a specific order, or by meeting the right person at the right time and trading with them to get the specific Pokemon you're looking for. Some of these Pokemon are no joke, like Feebas in Generation 3. In order to catch this Pokemon in the past, you needed to have gone to Route 119 and fish in 6 out of 436 water tiles. And out of the 6 available tiles, there's only a 50% chance of encountering the Pokemon. And the 6 tiles are randomized and determined by what trendy phrase you have in Dewford Town. But ironically, that's what makes catching all the Pokemon one of the funnest things to do in the world. Catching all the Pokemon is fun, but what adds to the fun and keeps you coming back for more is number 6 on this list. And that's the music. From Pokemon Red and Blue to Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Pokemon has consistently dished out some of the greatest music compositions in gaming history. I'm sure many of you that have been playing Pokemon for a while know exactly what I'm talking about. How many times have you caught yourself humming to the tune of a Pokemon track in your mind? Or while riding your bike, having the bicycle theme pop into your head? There's something unique about the way Pokemon music is composed that makes it so memorable. I haven't played Gen 3 of Pokemon in years, yet I still remember the music as naturally as breathing. I'll tell you something else interesting. I learned how to whistle by playing Pokemon. Think about it. As you were learning how to whistle, what do you think made you so good? If you play Pokemon a lot, I bet it was Pokemon. Number 5. The display of different ideologies. Pokemon, starting from Generation 1, always had a unique perspective on things, especially when considering the villains. In the first 2 generations, the game was primarily focused on Team Rocket and their insidious moral standard, believing that stealing Pokemon was a justifiable right. Then hop skip to 3rd gen, and you've got Team Magma and Team Aqua trying to convince the world that they'd be better off, with more land, with more sea, as insane as that can be. 4th gen, you've got Cyrus. This guy wanted to recreate the universe in his own image. Dude is trying to be Arceus. And then you have 5th gen, Team Plasma, on the forefront being led by N, yet truly being ruled by Gestes. He deceives N and later reveals that he really wants to keep all the Pokemon for himself to rule Unova. And of course, 6th gen, the crazy Team Flare. They wanted to kill everyone on Earth and start anew. How insane is that? What's interesting about all this is that it makes you wonder, is it right to capture Pokemon and to separate them from their families? Maybe we're the real villains here. It's a possibility. But speaking of capturing, that leads us to number 4. Training your Pokemon to be the best like no one ever was. You know that feeling when you get your first starter Pokemon and you grow your first level? The thrill, the excitement, it never gets old. You want to level up more and more. And one of the coolest things about leveling is learning new moves on the fly. Do you know how good it feels to watch your Charizard learn Flamethrower? It's so good, I love that feeling. And speaking of Charizard, leveling up your Pokemon and watching them evolve, Charmander is evolving, Charmeleon is evolving. You now have a Charizard. And then, you do not want to stop there. You want to keep leveling up further just to see what types of moves your Pokemon can learn. Who knew Infernape, out of all the moves available, learns Calm Mind at level 58? Now of course Nasty Plot is better, especially for an Infernape, but we're talking about just your average everyday player that loves playing Pokemon to their heart's content. But speaking of competitiveness, that leads us to number 3, the competition. This is by far the greatest aspect of Pokemon in its rawest form. I absolutely love the deep level of thought that's needed to be good at Pokemon battling. You've got 720 Pokemon, each with their 4 unique moves. The question is, which moves are your opponent most likely to have? What's their strategy? Are they good at mind games? Items? Competitive play is extremely intricate, and yes, it's serious business. How serious? There are established World Championship bouts officially held by Nintendo. Basically, the UFC of Pokemon. In addition, there are also unofficial battling systems and tiers held by others in the community. The Smogon battling system is a great example. They have their own tier system, rules, and methods of play. With the exception of general free-for-all done by most casual players, Smogon is the currently most popular unofficial battling system to date. Pokemon, especially Pokemon battling, brings people together in a way that's unique to anything else in this world. Which definitely leads us to number 2. Friends, family, and the community. I can't count how many long-lasting friendships I've built over the years because of Pokemon. It really has a way of bringing people together that otherwise would have never met. How far-reaching is this? Well, for starters, you're watching me right now, and I'm adding value to your day as we speak. Smogon. They have their own battling networks and even forums in which people discuss different strategies and tactics to come out on top in Pokemon battles. They've even gone as far as to create a dynamic tier system that constantly changes relative to the current state of the metagame. I'm more than certain that you or somebody you know has met someone that was interested in Pokemon and are still friends to this day. Pokemon is a passion that rarely dies, and it makes sense considering what's the #1 reason why people play Pokemon. And that reason is... Pokemon is ridiculously fun. There's a lot of games out there that people play but later on put down because they get tired of it. Pokemon is rarely one of those games. Why? The feeling of adventure, the lust for competition, amazing music and replay value, nationally recognized tournaments in both the card games and video games, the coming together of different people with a common goal, to battle and become the best, to catch all the Pokemon before the rest. Does it get any better than that? Maybe. With the upcoming release of Pokemon Go, people will connect like never before. Imagine walking by and seeing someone trying to catch a Pokemon. You yourself are a Pokemon trainer, which means that there would be an instant connection between the two of you. Many new relationships will be forged by the amazing greatness that is Pokemon. Now, many of you play the games competitively or simply can't find that specific Pokemon that you need. For you guys, I made a guide on how you can get any Pokemon you want in less than 15 minutes. This goes for items as well, and yes, it can be done that quickly. Well, my fellow Dragonites, thank you for watching this video, and as you know, there will be many more videos like these in the future. Well, see you later.
Electrode.
Squirtle, Squirtle.